What is up, everybody? We're back with some more fantasy football content for y'all. Today we got a mock draft. Me, Shane, we finally got Alex back on the pod. We designated the picks already. I'm gonna go at the beginning of the draft at pick one. Shane's gonna go in the middle at pick five, and Alex is gonna go at pick 10. We're gonna talk through our picks. We got robots doing the rest of the draft, so we might also talk about some of their picks too, and some of the ADPs and some guys we like in general. So, uh, tell you guys a lot to help you guys win your leagues this year. Now let's get straight into it. I'm gonna start the draft. And first pick, I think this is an obvious one to me. I'm going Justin Jefferson. He is just the best receiver by far in the league right now. I mean, he's just the safest option. We've talked about him in our wide receiver pod. I mean, he just has such a high floor and such a high ceiling also. With Kirk Cousins, I think he has room to get more touchdowns, and he's not slowing down. He could go for 2,000 this year, even though he got 1,900 last year.
Yeah, definitely the right pick there. I think I've said it already. I think Jefferson, I mean, you just said he could go for 2000. I agree. I think he could have like literally the best season ever. I think he's going at the 101 and he's still not even being valued as high as he should. I've seen people take other players before him in mocks. All right, so at the 105, I'm between a couple guys here. I think I'm gonna go with Tyreek Hill. I would really like Cooper Kupp, but that injury, I don't want to take him with that news coming out right now. If before the season starts, he's all good. I think I'd be back on him here. And I love Austin Eckler, but I just like starting a draft off with one of those elite wide receivers, and I think Tyreek Hill is definitely one of those. So I'm gonna take him here. I just like how the team shapes out.
I got a question for you guys. Where would you guys take Kelsey? Like, how early would you guys be willing to take Kelsey in the first round?
I would take him at like 8 or 9.
8 or 9, really?
Hmm.
Yeah, I would take around the same area too.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think I would also want Tyreek or one of the premier backs. Like,
Hmm.
I think I would take Eckler or Bijan before him. And then I'd take like a Kelsey because Kelsey's, I mean, if you get him, you know what he's going to do. You know what he's going to put up. He's totally worth his ADP, in my opinion.
Hmm.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be between him and Diggs around that 9, 10 spot for me
Mhm.
right
This
now.
draft is interesting so far. I mean, I thought didn't Alex say before he thought
Yeah, I did.
might
I
be
did
a
want
wide.
Saquon as my 10 pick.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, he
Cubs
didn't take
still
it.
there. I mean, I am not really on his hype train this year, especially with his hamstring injury that came up. But I mean, he is still Cooper Cup, so interested to see what you do here.
I mean, I think that CeeDee Lamb's a good option. AJ Brown's are also a good option. Maybe a bit more reliable than Cup because of the injury, but I feel like I would kick myself in the foot if I don't take Cup here at 10. So I'm gonna go with Cup.
Yeah, I think it's a great value. I mean, he's going to be good at some point in the season, so even if he's not 100% for weeks 1, 2, I think it's the right pick.
For
Hmm.
sure. And it's already back to me. So I kind of don't like running backs this year at all. So I might, it was a tough decision. It's really Devontae Adams and AJ Brown I'm looking at, maybe even a little bit of St. Brown, but I feel like that might be a tiny reach. And I don't, in general, I like Adams, but I really like that Eagles offense. I still think AJ Brown's gonna be money there, so I think I might go with AJ Brown here.
I think AJ Brown's a really
Ooh,
safe pick this year.
Alex is going no RB in the first 2 rounds. I like it.
I was
RB
I was planning on doing that, but Garrett Wilson, my guy, just got sniped, so I might have to take a running back.
Me personally, from Alex's spot, I think I'm so confident in Chubb this year that I'm willing to easily take that second round pick, even over a guy like AJ Brown. just to solidify my running back. But I mean, there's so much running back depth in this draft, in my opinion, that you can for sure wait and go wide receiver in both your first 2 rounds.
I mean, he didn't
I
have
couldn't get
Chubb
Chubb though.
there.
Yeah, Chubb
Chubb was
wasn't there
taken.
though.
Oh shoot,
Yeah,
never mind.
I would have taken Chubb if he was there, but he
Yeah.
wasn't. No running
yeah.
backs, I think it's a strat though, to be honest, but I don't know. What do I know?
I think there is a lot of depth. Joey mentioned it. There's a lot of depth in running back this year. And I think wide receiver heavy is definitely a fine strategy. Right now, though, I think there's a guy that, I mean, I think he's a tier above Josh Jacobs. I think he's on the same tier as Derrick Henry. And I'm going to be getting him in a lot of my drafts this year. It's Tony Pollard. Talked about him already. Only downside is if the Cowboys re-sign Zeke, that does, obviously move him down rankings. But as of right now, Zeke is a free agent and he's talking to some other teams, including the Patriots. I wanted to bring that up. I was high on Ramondre Stevenson. Definitely, if Zeke goes to the Patriots, which I've heard some rumors, that would turn me off of Ramondre, definitely. So I'm going to go Tony Pollard here. I got an elite running back and an elite wide receiver.
Tony Pollard. I like that pick. Ooh, that was interesting. Um, you know, hmm. I got Hurts on the board. I think I'm not willing to spend second round.
Mm.
I mean, it is third round for me too because I'm at the turn. I still don't think I'm gonna do that. Mark Andrews is kind of intriguing, but I think I for sure want Olave right here. I love him this year with Derek Carr. We talked about it in the receiver pod. He loves Hammer to his number one receiver. He's going to be the number one receiver. He impressed last year. And I could see him having a really big year in this Saints offense that I think is going to be decently pass heavy. And I think he's due for some touchdowns this year. And now I think I need to get a running back. Sorry, Mark Andrews. I'm going Najee Harris in the third round. We were
Hate
talking
that
about
pick, Joe.
we were talking about him on our running back pod. I like him. I think he's due for a bounce back season. I think a better Steelers offense with a second year Kenny Pickett. And I think he's going to get the workload that he got at the end of last season instead of the first 8 weeks and get those 20 touch weeks consistently. I think he's going to be a big part. He's determined and he knows what he's got to do. He's going to get back. He's going to get those touchdowns. I think he's going to be good again.
I think that's a reach,
Me too.
in my opinion. Like
I
the
don't
Olave
like
pick.
Ramondre, and
I mean, I would have taken
staying away
Jalen
from Brees
Hurts.
Hall right now.
I would have taken Jalen Hurts. I think I like the value. I like going quarterback when you have one of those early picks on the turn. If one of those elite quarterbacks are still there,
Oh, that's great. You have the opportunity to do that, Shane.
I do, and I think I'm gonna have to do just that right now. But yeah, I think Najee was
A reach.
definitely a reach. I mean, I understand your reasoning, Joe, but I wouldn't take him personally until maybe early fourth. Definitely not early third for me. And I think that the 10 touchdowns last year that he got, that's about his ceiling. I think he could dip a lot lower. I still don't expect that Steelers offense to be anything great. Obviously, I think it could improve. Kenny Pickett if he takes a step up, but I'm gonna go Jalen Hurts here, balancing out a squad.
You know, I was really hoping Ramondre would follow me right there. He was one pick away. I was getting really excited. I would have taken him, Pat's guy, so I have to. I am kind of stuck here thinking about taking Burrow, even with that little knock he picked up, the quarterback. But I do think at this point, I kind of need a running back. So I'm really looking at two guys, ETN and Gibbs. I think ETN's an interesting player. And apparently he's been looking better than he was last year.
I would say
I mean, I think ETN is a safer pick, a more solidified guy in the league already.
Yeah. Then you got
But
Gibbs, the rookie.
I do like Gibbs though. I like Gibbs a lot, and I think he'll probably be a big part of that offense.
He will
I mean,
be. I mean, they took him with the 12th pick. I think he'll definitely he's for sure going to be in the receiving game. He's going to line up as a receiver.
oh, for sure.
Um,
And I've heard good things about Campbell saying that like
yeah.
he wants to do that double running back thing with
Well, the
Montgomery.
Lions used their running backs the most in the league last year, and they're definitely going to do similar this year. I mean, even with David Montgomery, they're both going to get a huge. They're
Oh,
both
for
going to
sure.
get a lot of touches. Like they use their running backs a boatload.
But I can't be taking Gibbs just because of my DeAndre Swift incident from last year where he just let me down week after week. So I just have to take Etienne
All right.
with the Detroit Lions repeat.
I think ETN, one thing that's kind of turned me off is Tank Bigsby, running back they drafted. I think I've
Mhm.
heard that he's looking good in camp. And I think even if he eats into ETN's role just a little bit, that's going to do a lot because that offense already has a lot of mouths to feed. And Travis Etienne looked really bad as a receiver last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if his receiving work
Yeah.
kind of gets cuts off in that offense.
That's what I was about to say. I think Tank Bigsby could definitely eat into his receiving work, which was a big part. And I think this Jacksonville team, especially with getting Calvin Ridley and Trevor Lawrence, I think he's going to have a big year. I think they're going to be throwing the ball a lot, so I think he needs to be involved in that to be a top tier running back. So I'm not really high on ETN, but I mean he's going to get a good amount of touches. He'll be just fine.
Yeah, so now I guess it's me again. Burrow on the table still looks nice. Looks real nice to take. I might do it. I also do like Calvin Ridley. I know.
Did you go
Tell
double
me.
Jacksonville?
Yeah, I kind of like it, but double Jacksonville can't be the play. And I do already have Cup and Brown, which kind of shies me away from picking another receiver right now. Aaron Jones is on the board too. And as we know, he's pretty solidified in the league of what he's been able to do. And I mean, I don't think his situation has changed that much from last year. Do I want to take another running back? I kind of like Burrow here, but it might be a reach. Oh,
I mean,
I
I
think
don't think Burrow's a reach. When he plays, he will be
I think this is a
for,
value for Burrow.
for sure top five quarterback. I mean, even if he does sit out and
No,
comes in week 5, like he's solidified to be really good this season.
I heard good news about the injury. He should be back before the season starts.
Really?
I heard that it's not a severe or not a grade 2 or anything. I heard it's a grade 1.
Hmm,
So
that's good.
based
that's
on
what I
that,
heard.
because I don't know much about the injury and I trust you, Shane, I'm gonna take Burrow. It was shying me away a bit, but I trust that he'll be back week 1 because you said that. So he better be back.
I'm not the doctor, but
Okay, that's good.
all right. So got Calvin Ridley went and Aaron Jones. I was hoping one of those two got back. I'm super high on them, and that would have been great value. Um, but not loving my selection here. Definitely off of Debo this year. I think he's going way too high. For the season he had last year, it was disappointing, and I wouldn't expect much to change there.
I agree.
Right now, I'm considering going tight end here because I like the running back depth as we get into these 5th and 6th rounds. And so far, I've just liked locking up a tight end. I have George Kittle slightly over TJ Hawkinson. I think they're both going to do great, but George Kittle, I think his season kind of went under the radar last year, and we've seen what he can do when he gets targeted in an offense, and I think that could just be the case this year. So I'm gonna take George Kittle.
Hmm. You really like him over Hawkinson?
I do. I just think,
I feel like with
I mean,
CMC, like that really ate into him. Did it
I
not?
don't think it. I think George Kittle
I'd have to look at the stats, but
last season,
I got better.
woo! Hey,
he had
that's why I waited, and I'm happy I did. I'm happy I got Najee because now I got my quarterback. I got Justin Fields. I got Jalen Hurts 2.0. Feed me Justin Fields. He's having a big year this season. He's having what Jalen Hurts had last season. Uh, we saw him last year running the football. He was one of the best already rushing quarterbacks in the league. He had one game where he had the most rushing yards ever in a single game. I think now he has DJ Moore. He's going to have a big year. And I think that offense is going to improve. There's been really good reports of him in training camp looking really good. So I like to hear that. And now I am on the clock again. Let's see who we got. Yes, sir. I'm going Miles Sanders as my running back too. I love Miles Sanders this year. You know, he's got old Philadelphia coaches in Carolina. We saw what CMC did in Carolina. I love his situation. He's going to be a workhorse back. He's going to get all the touches. You know, he's going to get touchdowns. He's going to be a beast. He's going to be a monster. And I know he's going to produce. And I love him as a running back too this year. So feed me him.
Yeah, you just sniped my guy. I was gonna take Sanders if you got back to me there. And I love the Fields pick. I think that was a great turn from you.
I'm
And
liking
on the
my
George
team right now. I'm liking my team.
on the George Kittle note, last year he had a low of 9.68 points, which out of a tight end, I just love. I love his consistency more than Hawkinson, because Hawkinson did have a couple I think 35 plus point games last year, which kind of boosted his numbers. I mean, if I can get a consistent double digit with, an occasional 2 touchdown game out of my tight end, I'm glad taking him in the 4th round.
Yeah, I mean, I agree he's consistent, but last year was like an outlier year. I mean, you had a totally new QB.
It's going to be the same way this year.
He's in the mix, so that was a totally different situation than before.
How so?
Well, because maybe there was a difference between Garoppolo, who maybe fed Kittle a little more. He was better with Garoppolo, or he was better without CMC. So I think that his ceiling is a little capped.
Garoppolo was barely the quarterback last year, and he still
no, I'm
put
talking
up.
about two before that in his best season.
I'm talking about last year.
Yeah, I'm talking. Purdy was the quarterback for end of the season, and Lance was before.
Yeah, and last year he didn't have a single game under 9.6 fantasy points.
I thought you said that was a down year. Was it not?
Last year?
Yeah.
No, I said last year his season went under the radar.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, he's definitely consistent for sure. So he's safe. All right. All right, Shane, you're on the clock.
Yeah. All right. So I gotta reconsider because I was gonna take Miles Sanders there. Still got Alexander Madison, who I don't love, but I don't hate. I think he's gonna have high touchdown upside, and I mean he's gonna have to get touches in that offense. I mean he's the RB1, and they do have to run the ball eventually, although it might not be a lot. I have to repeat a position pick here. I've taken 4 unique positions so far. I don't love the wide receivers right here, but I also don't think they get too much better. So I might have to reach. I think I am going to go with Alexander Madison. I'm not going to overthink it. Like he's a pretty safe RB2.
Bro, why would you do that? You didn't need to do that, dog. You could have left it. You could have taken a receiver.
No.
It kind of screws my pick, to be honest.
Wow.
Well, I'm not really thinking about Alvin Kamara at this point because of the suspension.
It is only 3 games. I think
it is only 3 games.
That was pretty low for this range of outcomes it could have been.
I kind of don't want to bum though, like as my RB2, like until Kamara gets back. I can't pick Swift again. There's too many mouths to feed in Philly right now for me to feel comfortable enough with him in fantasy, especially due to his history I have with him. Cam Akers. Do I really want Cam Akers?
I really like Cam Akers this year.
I do too, but I don't know if I want him more than I don't want him.
I actually like him I would take him over Madison, in my opinion. But Madison, I mean, he'll definitely get a workload, but I think the upside is higher for Akers this year, in my opinion.
I agree the upside's higher, but I think the floor is so much lower. That's why I have Madison just a little bit above Akers. I just think that Rams offense can fall through, and we've seen
Yeah.
Akers when he's not getting involved, when he's not scoring and he's not getting involved in the passing game, it's pretty poor fantasy production. But then also when he's at his high, he can he can produce in a good offense. So I like Akers as well. I just think Madison, I feel better taking him as my RB2.
I have planned my next two picks. I will be taking Cam Akers here. Oh, it's me again.
Yep.
Well, I really like this player because I had him last year too, and I think he's still proven to be. I guess after last season, he can still get it done or get it done. What am I saying? Like he's a young guy. He's done it now before once. I think he's going to continue getting better. Uh, might be a tiny bit of a reach. You know what? Screw my plan. I lied. I'm gonna take Kamara when he comes back from suspension.
Who are you going to take?
I was gonna take Michael Pittman.
Hmm. Yeah, Pittman. I don't.
I'm not a really big fan of
Not
Pittman,
with Richardson
but
there.
Richardson, yeah. I
Yeah,
think his rushing ability is definitely going to take away from the passing game. Plus, I mean, he actually had a pretty. It looked like a good situation at least with Matt Ryan. Yeah, it was Matt Ryan, right?
yeah. For part of the year, and then
Yeah,
Ellinger came in, and then it was kind of shit
yeah,
show.
yeah. I mean, it was terrible there, but I mean that offense is just not going to be good, plain simple. And I mean, we thought Pittman was going to be good last year, start of fantasy year, because Matt Ryan really loves his number one guy. And I mean, he was all right, but he did not really live up to it.
Yeah,
All right, Shane, you are on the clock.
I am, and I need a wide receiver too. I still need a flex though, so I'm not opposed to going running back. Um, right here. Let's see who's on the board. Yeah, I'm upset that a couple of those guys just went that I kind of was eyeing, but right here, I just don't love these receivers where I have to take them. Hmm, let's see. You know what? I think I'm gonna stay away from the receiver still. I'll just load up on some later, but let's see, give me my guy. I was talking about him in the pod. You know, maybe his ceiling's not too high. That's all right. I mean, he's my RB3. Or sorry, maybe his oh yeah, maybe his ceiling's not too high, but I think his floor is there. He's gonna get a ton of carries. The Cardinals said they're willing to give him a bell cow role again. And I mean, last year the Cardinals sucked, and he still produced top 10 RB numbers, points per game. And actually without Kyler, he's averaged over 20 fantasy points per game in a decent sample size. So that doesn't scare me at all. Go James Conner.
I like James Conner. I think that's a little scary for me at least. Waiting to get your wide receiver two till the seventh round. Um, but obviously, maybe you have someone in mind that you're waiting for at that spot. Me, I need a flex and a tight end. Let's see who we got here. Ooh, I was saying this on the pod. I love this guy on Sleeper. I don't like him on ESPN. I'm going Rashad White of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that's a crazy value at ADP 74 for a guy that has the running game to himself as of right now. We've seen the Buccaneers running backs have success in the past. He had a lot of success in the receiving game. He's going to be a big part of the receiving game with Baker Mayfield, who actually was the number one check down guy, I believe, when he played last in the NFL. So I love that receiving upside, and I love that he's going to get a lot of carries. And even though this isn't, I mean, I think this offense will be fine enough because it has, I mean, Baker's not that bad. Let's give him some credit. And uh, Evans and Godwin are still there. So it's not going to be that bad. He'll get his opportunities for touchdowns. So I like him for sure. And then with my tight end, I'm going with, gosh. Well, see, I like going Freiermuth usually at this spot, but I don't really want to double down on Steelers. So I think and I do not have to draft one right now because I'm not really trying to get Evan Ingram. I think I honestly can wait and get a later one that is still stable and fine for me. I'm getting the bench player. Give me, let's see, what do we want here?
It's a good question.
So does that mean you have Freiermuth over Evan Ingram in your for
I
tight
do.
ends?
I do.
Wow.
That's
Evan
crazy.
Ingram's
That's
he's just a little older. Calvin Ridley's going
Okay.
to take away targets. There's a lot of competition. Freiermuth, the Steelers love their tight ends. He's been consistent. He was the tight end 6 last year. I mean, he has room to grow too. He's only 25. I think he's definitely above Evan Ingram for me, at least. And I'm gonna go. This is a little bit of a just like if stuff goes right, this is gonna be an amazing pick. I'm going David Montgomery at the turn for my bench. If anything happens to Jahmyr Gibbs, he is going to be really good. And I mean, really good. So that's,
Oh, so you're wishing injury on a player right now,
I'm
Joey? Is that
not
what you're
wishing an
saying?
injury. I'm saying if
That's what
that
it sounds
happens,
like, dog.
and
That's what it
even if
sounds
that
like.
doesn't happen, he can still take it over. Even if that doesn't happen, he's, as of right now, he's still going to get a good amount of touches. He's going to get some goal line work. So if I need him, I can plug it. I can plug him in. I think he can get me some solid points. But I mean, if Gibbs underperforms, I mean, he's only a rookie. We don't know what to expect from him. Montgomery could take over the running game, which is the risk of Gibbs. I don't think it's going to happen. But also, there's the thing about injury. So I mean, Montgomery,
Oh, so you are
I have him
wishing
on my
Gibbs
bench.
was rookie.
It's
Okay.
not risky at all. I have him on my bench, and it could be a really high upside pick.
I thought you were going to take Javonte Williams when you said, it could be an amazing pick. That's where I thought you were going. Yeah, I like Demont though. I mean, I don't think that I think the role between him and Gibbs is going to be split pretty evenly. I just like Gibbs more because of the receiving upside that he has. But obviously Montgomery will be like the goal line back and the short yard situation back all season. I think he'll get more carries. I like that pick.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
also kind of worried about. I mean, I heard Javante is like, is he fully pretty much back now? I mean, I heard he might be back for the season.
Yeah, I
It's a
don't know.
pretty
Off a
crazy
torn
recovery
ACL,
though.
it's just a scary to pick him.
That's why I'm not kind of staying away. Plus he messed me up last year when I picked him in fantasy, so I'm kind of holding that against him.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so I'm glad I didn't go wide receiver last pick because I mean the main guys I was looking at actually stayed on the board. Only Mike Evans and Kirk went off. I mean, and Marquise Brown, but I was
Gosh.
looking at basically three guys here. It's the top three available: Pittman, Lockett, and Mike Williams. I mean, on one hand, Pittman is the number one in that offense, but Lockett has been so consistent, and I don't think JSN is gonna eat in too much. I think that offense has enough to go around. I really like that Seattle offense. Just trying to think here. You also got Quentin Johnston coming in for the Chargers. I think I'm gonna go Michael Pittman. I think I'm hating too much. He is the number one. They have to throw the ball somewhere. I think his targets will be high enough, and he's my seventh round pick. It doesn't need to be perfect. I think
Yeah,
he'll get
he is
the
your wide receiver too. I mean, for you, a 7th round pick is your wide receiver too, so that's kind of also a more big pick. It's not like a
well. I
risk.
mean, every player I've drafted ahead of him is in my lineup, so it's just as big of a
Okay.
pick as any of those.
I mean, you're talking about wide receiver one, and Deontay was on the board, and I think he's a
I'm
lot.
no.
I think
Give me. I
he's
mean,
risk free.
He had an awful season last year. I wouldn't be surprised
With
if
zero
Pickens passed him up.
touchdowns.
He had an awful season. I think he had 140
I think there's
targets.
only he can only go nowhere but up. And I
No,
think he's due
I
for
think they could.
touchdowns. He's
No,
reliable. He's the number one target.
that's the.
Kenny
I'm
Pickett is
saying
gonna be better.
I think Pickens is going to pass him up this year. I just Deontay had an awful season. Like as a player, he was awful. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers just stop giving him those looks, and I wouldn't be surprised if Pickett goes to Pickens
Still
this
got a
year
lot of he got a lot of receptions. I mean, he was still Pickett's
because
favorite target.
he was one of the highest targets in the league, and he produced so poorly with those targets. I mean, you said no touchdowns. I think he was under 1,000 yards, if I'm correct.
Well, the
I
Steelers'
mean,
offense was also like horrendous last year, and I think
it was, but I'm just saying,
that'll change somewhat.
I think that Pickens could pass him up as the wide receiver one in that offense.
Good. All right, Alex, you are on the clock.
Yeah. Mike Williams is always Mr. Inconsistency. I've taken him 2 years in a row. He hasn't let me down to be honest, but he's not been great either. He has too many games where he kind of stresses me out with his like one catch and one target kind of game. But he did have some good stints last season. That being said, I don't really want to risk not having Evan Ingram by the time my pick comes back. And I feel like that's not likely, but I'm kind of worried that Team 12 will auto pick Evan Ingram. So I don't really know what to do here, which is why I'm going to take him.
I like that.
And now it's back to me, believe it or not, which is great. Jordan Addison has apparently looked really sharp in practice, and I mean, we know what he's capable of in college. Obviously that offense is pretty loaded in the receiver end now, but I mean that helps. I don't really like any receivers on the board, which makes sense. It's the later rounds now. Jahan Dotson is kind of an interesting one, but doesn't fill me with that much confidence to have him, to be honest. So I think,
I think you go upside here.
which is why I was thinking the same, and I think I might go Addison
I like
just
that.
because of what I think he can be as a player, especially as like a
I
dual
like
threat
that for
receiver.
sure.
So
Yeah, I think that's a great upside pick. I mean, just a great receiving offense, and I mean, he's a very talented player. He could burst out as a rookie. Who knows? I like that pick.
Definitely. I mean, Jefferson did it there. I don't, I usually stay away from rookie receivers just because for the opposite reason, but I do think this Minnesota offense is the offense where a rookie can, produce with that upside. All right. So I actually have a guy in mind, a receiver that I would take here, but I think he's going to get back to me later in the draft. So I'm going to go with Brandon Cooks, wide receiver two in that offense. Michael Gallup is still there, and maybe I'll get him. Maybe I would get him later, but I think that's why I wasn't too worried about taking my wide receiver two in the seventh because I know I have a few guys down here that I think one of them will work out, and Brandon Cooks is the first one I want to select here. Mr. Consistent 1,000-yard seasons.
Yo, that is crazy. Of course, Freiermuth gets all the way back to me, and I need a tight end. And I have Najee already. Bro, I mean, I'll just draft a backup, and then when they have that same bye week, I'll have a solid backup. But I gotta take him at this point. I like him, and he just came all the way back to me. I told y'all why I like him, and I'm getting him. And then with my other bench slot pick, see what we got here. We got Um, I'm going all the way down here to this guy I've been drafting in pretty much every mock draft on my bench spot. It's Khalil Herbert. I love this guy, man. I mean, is he not the running back one in this Bears offense as of right now? I mean, obviously he might lose that job. It's not solidified, but he is right now. And if he bursts out on the scene, I mean, I think he's a solid running back. He was good behind David Montgomery. I think if he is good at all, this is going to be a great value pick on my bench. And I like this value a lot. And if he blows up, happy to insert him in my lineup.
Yeah, as I like Khalil Herbert. I think that's value as well. Um, but I do think his upside is capped a little bit just because they're definitely looking for a committee there. I don't think he gets more than 12, 13 touches a game, but that's still solid for where you're getting him. All right, so right here, I am between a couple guys. One of them is at the top of the rankings, and there's a chance the other one makes it back to me. But I think this is one of the best values right now in drafts. I'm going with Brian Robinson. I mean, he is the alpha in that backfield. Antonio Gibson's going before him. That makes no sense to me. Um, Brian Robinson actually averaged 18.6 touches in their last 11 games last year. And that was after he got shot. He was clearly not himself last year, is what everyone was saying. Now he has a full season to recover. I think Brian Robinson is one of the best values you can get in these late rounds. Antonio Gibson actually said, there's a quote, he said, I want to play the J.D. McKissic role for this team. So if that's his own expectation for his role, I think Brian Robinson is going to be the alpha like he was last year as far as touches. And I'm getting that in the 9th round.
Solid. Oh, I guess it's me again. Currently I have Jordan Addison in my flex because Kamara is suspended for my first 3 games. So I might be looking for a little depth there. Maybe a player I could switch out. Gabe Davis is an interesting player. He's obviously showed flashes of being like incredible numbers, like that crazy game he had last year that I remember. But he's also been very inconsistent and has had a lot of games where he hasn't put up numbers that are really anything impressive. And I think that's more likely. But at this point, I feel like you don't get many players who do that anyways. So I'm kind of looking at upside players. And there's none, which makes it also painful. I think, to be honest, I don't really know many like sleepers down here that might have a lot of upside. So I think I might just go with Gabe Davis.
I think that's a fine pick down there, honestly. I mean, just in that Bills offense, he's gonna have some good games for sure.
Yeah. And just in case the Joe Burrow injury does last past week 1, I feel like I should take a backup quarterback. It might be a bit of a reach, but I still feel like Aaron Rodgers is pretty sufficeable at where I'm getting him right now. And especially if I have to start on week 1, I feel pretty comfortable with him playing. So I'm gonna go Aaron Rodgers.
I like that.
I was really hoping Elijah Moore made it back to me. I love Elijah Moore this year. I think he's been getting a lot of buzz out of Brown's camp, and he's a pretty clear wide receiver too in that offense, and that offense could get a lot better, with Deshaun Watson if he returns to old form. All right, so with my last pick of the draft, though, I do want to go receiver here just because, like I said, I want to load up on a few guys and hopefully one of them hits for my wide receiver 2 spot. And I think I'm going to go with Rashad Bateman here. He has been banged up a little bit, but if he can return to the wide receiver 1 in that offense later in the season, I think the upside's there. I like Zay Flowers as a pick too, but he's off the board. I think Bateman could really has upside for later in the season.
Bateman. All right. Yeah, I like that. Now it's up to me. I need backup receiver. See, we're getting to the depths here.
You
You
only
know
have 2 receivers on your roster.
what?
You only have two
Yeah,
receivers.
yeah, my first two picks. Um, I'm gonna go with. Hmm. I mean, I could go with Lazard, I guess, for that connection with Aaron Rodgers, but I mean, I think I'm gonna go with Sky Moore. Sky Moore. I mean, I thought kind of the same thing last year. He could be the wide receiver one. That's what the reports are, that he is looking like really good, looking like his favorite target in training camp. I mean, who knows? Patrick Mahomes loves to spread the ball. Ultimately, Travis Kelce is his number one target, so that's not going to change. Um, but for well, let's see, where's my guys? Cannot, never mind. I'm gonna go with Lazard. Could go Sky Moore. I like that too, but I'm going with that connection, and I think that offense can be firepower. Kind of wishing I went Sky Moore now, but I still like Lazard. Either way, I think they're both fine. And then now I'm gonna go backup quarterback now, and to end it off, I'm going with Jared Goff in that Detroit Lions offense. So that is where we're going to cap off this draft. I hope you guys got some insight on the players we liked, ADPs we liked, and to show you how you should attack your drafts this fantasy season. And yeah, stay tuned for more fantasy content coming soon, and we'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.